What's up, y'all? Shane G, Midwest Coast. Make sure you subscribe, give us a like, follow the podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes, follow the Facebook page, all that good stuff. Joe Rogan, love his podcast. He's made some questionable comments about Bernie Sanders and the goals that he wants to accomplish. I'm going to play you that clip, and I'll be back.
When you have a guy like Bernie Sanders who harps on and on about income inequality, I have a real issue with that because it's one of those blanket statements that sounds really good at a campaign speech, but freedom itself breeds income inequality.
Yes.
Because freedom means you can do whatever you want. You can do very little, or you could work like a maniac. Well, if you're going to work like a, if here's the game, okay? You do something, for that something, you get currency, you use that currency to buy things, or to make sure you don't have to work again, buy food and goods and take trips and travel. The more you work, the more you decide that you want to pursue something, the more chances you have to acquire that currency if you do it correctly. That is income inequality due to freedom. I mean, take away all the other factors that might be, in play, whether it's racial discrimination or sexual discrimination. I'm not denying that those things exist. But what I am saying is that the idea that you are going to have income equality in a capitalist society where anybody can do whatever they want, people, that is so counter to what we know about human behavior.
I agree.
You're talking about a fantasy person who doesn't exist, who has motivations outside of wealth, outside of, most people want some sort of reward for what they do. And if everybody gets the same amount, there's no fucking reward for working extra hard.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
not going to. Well, you're not going to get Microsoft. You're not going to get IBM.
And
you're
it's
not
not
going to get
just.
Apple.
I mean, it's not just. I mean, they talk about fairness a lot, which is a strange concept. But it's not just that somebody works twice as hard and doesn't get more. I mean, that's not the right thing to do. Anyway, but like what you were saying, and I just think it's like they use the term so much. But what's misleading about it? You're absolutely right that freedom breeds inequality. But what's misleading about it is by that people think like the poor get poorer.
No.
And that is like objectively false, demonstrably false. It's not they make it out like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, like that old saying, but it's like that, if you think it through, like that can't really continue.
Well, you're always
like
going to have
no, but
poor,
the poor
you're
get
always
richer.
going to have rich, but if the poor work hard and figure they have a possibility to escape whatever economic situation they're in, it is possible with freedom.
All right, now, Joe Rogan, he's a smart guy. I just think that he's a victim of somebody who only looks at things from their unique perspective. Only in certain areas, though, because on some other issues, he's right on point. But in this particular situation, I wholeheartedly disagree with him, and this is why. So, he speaks about basically all the technological advances and things of that nature, from the Industrial Revolution, and speaks on how, without competition and freedom and, the capitalist nature of the United States, we wouldn't have had all these innovations, IBM, Microsoft, Apple, etc. So I agree with him there. I do think that competition does foster creativity and, what's the next best thing and everything. I agree with that part. Where he's wrong is saying that because of freedom and because of capitalism, there's always going to be a certain level of income inequality that essentially is unmanageable. Now, the problem isn't people's work ethic or their willingness to work hard or not work hard. The problem is the tax system. When the top 1%, 10%, 5% of earners are receiving the largest tax breaks, and corporations are receiving the largest tax breaks, that's not conducive to an environment that will allow people who are on the bottom rungs to work harder and get higher up that ladder, because the system is rigged against them. If you're at a minimum wage job, you don't even make a living wage as it is right now. So if you're at a minimum wage job, even if you work super hard, there's only going to be so many supervisor or management or team lead positions. So only certain people can get those. The rest of the people are still stuck. And then beyond that, there's only certain avenues beyond those levels that you can get to. And that has nothing to do with how hard you work. That has everything to do with just the amount of opportunity that's available. So, and also, again, the tax system. So he was attacking Bernie a little bit, saying that, he wants basically a fairy tale land where everybody gets everything equal. And that's a huge straw man of Bernie's position and most of the left's position. We say we don't want equal outcome, but we do want equal opportunity. Meaning that everybody should start on a basic level and be able to have the opportunity based on their hard work to raise up the ladder. That's a meritocracy. And if we currently lived under that system, then Joe Rogan would be 100% correct, I think. But since we don't live in that system, there has to be things that we do to make sure that our citizens aren't suffering. Making that tax burden a little bit more fair on the lower class and on the middle class versus cutting taxes for the top earners of the country. We saw what the golden age of economic expansion was under FDR. It's when he put the money in the workers' hands. There was a high tax rate on the rich. There was a lower tax rate on middle and lower class income earners. And what happened? Everybody continued to see success. People were able to get out of the lower class and make it to the middle class. More people were able to make it from the middle class to upper class during this time. And it only ended once all the deregulation and those tax cuts for the highest earners were implemented once again in the late 70s, early 80s. And since then, productivity continued to go up. Corporations' profits continued to go up. Wages for the workers stayed stagnant. And if that keeps and if you don't keep up with inflation and your wages stay stagnant, you're essentially earning less money than you should be. So wages are deflated at the moment. So with all that being considered, Joe Rogan, I wish you didn't strawman Bernie's argument, because essentially what you think he's arguing for is communism, where everything is equal. And that's not what he's arguing for. He's arguing for a social democracy, which allows for more of an equal opportunity. And then based on your hard work after the opportunity you've been given, then you can make different things happen for yourself. But that's not the system that we live in right now. And, it irks me a little bit when people who have a lot of money say things like that, like, oh, if you just work harder, then you can be where I'm at. Everyone's life path isn't the same. So we should take that into consideration when we're making policy.